Hey, this is Beverly Bozeman. I am the creator of the About Her Ministry YouTube channel. Welcome to another episode of About Her Ministry. And today I have an awesome guest for you guys. I have Pastor Angela Taylor Fisher, and she is the pastor of New Birth Worship Center in Lancaster, Texas. Thank you for stopping by, Pastor. We do appreciate you coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. You are more than welcome. We're going to jump right into it because I know that we have a lot of people who are really interested to hear what you have to say. So my first question to you is, when you received the call of ministry, why did you say yes?
Well, it's funny that you asked, because I've been preaching revival all this week, and I shared a part of my testimony last night about my calling, and I heard the call, but I ran for a long time. I just didn't want to do it because my husband is actually the senior pastor. I'm a co-pastor, but we're both ordained, and he had been pastoring for maybe about 3 years. And I just felt the prompting in my spirit. And, you know, when they would ask me to get up and say a few words, I just felt like I wanted to just preach a sermon. And but I ran from it for a long time because I was really quiet and shy, just sort of in the back. And but I always had that desire to help people, whether through teaching or just leading by example. And so it was almost like God just kept shaking me. I couldn't sleep. I would flop throughout the night. He would wake me up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was just like, you're gonna do this. And finally, I just said, okay, I'm gonna give over to your will, and I'm gonna do it because I felt like I had something to say that would help somebody. That's what truly made me accept the call, was that I felt like when I talked, people listened and it helped. So I knew that I needed to be of service to God.
Awesome. That it really makes a difference, I think, to be in the type of leadership position that you're in, and for people to listen, authentically listen to what you have to say, and walk away with a lot of information and some really good nuggets to help them in life. So that's awesome. We are glad that you did answer the call. Let me ask you this. When you said your husband was preaching before you, was he the pastor first?
Yes. Okay. Well, he was actually at our home church. He started off as a deacon, and then when actually he didn't even make it to deaconship, I guess that's the word, because the day that they did the deacon ordination, if you're familiar with it, they go down the row and they ask them questions about the Bible and different stuff. And when they got to him, he said, well, the Lord has called me to minister. And everybody went, what? And so he never even made it to the deacon. He went straight into being a minister. And we stayed with our home church probably for about 5 years or so. And then God called him to a ministry to pastor. So he's been ministering, and then he was pastoring for about 3 years before I was called in.
Wow. Yeah. So how did you, I know that was really interesting, if you know, to say the least. How did you make the transition from first lady to pastor? Because it's, you know, two totally different worlds, but they're so tightly knit.
It was an easy transition, but at the same time, it took a lot of prayer because people had gotten used to me being first lady. And so now I'm up here preaching the word of God, and a story that I like to tell, to share with people about being a female minister amongst a lot of males. Because when I was called in, we had maybe 10 or 11 associate ministers, all males. And then we had one female associate minister, but she wasn't there a lot because she used to have to work, and then me. And so that transition, they were good as long as I was first lady. But when I began to minister the word of God, it took a little adjustment for people to accept the transition that God had did. took a lot of prayer because people kind of want you to stay in one role. And so when you start doing different roles, but the same, I had to learn how to balance those roles, when to be the minister, when to be the first lady. So it took some time.
Oh, wow, I just can only imagine. How did your husband handle you accepting the transition?
He was fine with it. He was fine with it. I don't think he ever really made a difference with it. I think as long as I was able to handle it, he was okay with it. Yeah, he was fine with it. He didn't make a difference one way or the other. He was just like, if God called you to preach, you better preach.
Good. It's awesome to have that type of support.
It is.
How did your family and friends deal with you making the transition from first lady to pastor?
The first thing, they were okay with it as well. I think the biggest thing they kind of couldn't get used to was me being the first lady first.
Okay.
And that is because people, family and friends know you as Beverly, Angie, that's what they call me, and they want to keep you there. Yeah. And so because my mom was the first lady, but she was with my stepdad for about 21 years, but she was just kind of more low-key, but I was more active and out front. So really the hardest adjustment for my family and friends was just becoming a first lady. And they wanted to, they kind of kept seeing me as the sister and as the friend. And so that was a transition. And then when I went on into preaching, that was actually an easier transition. But you still get opposition because when I would come around, the pastor's here now, that kind of thing. So, but through prayer, it just leveled out. Yeah. Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Prayer levels out a whole lot.
Oh my gosh.
Levels out everything. It takes time, but it does.
It does. It takes some time. I really had to, and I just want to touch on that a little bit longer. I really had to gain their respect, but I had to set boundaries so that they could respect my position and my role. And then I also had to learn outside of ministry, when I'm with my family, I am Angie. I can't come in demanding nobody to give me some water or bring me a fan. I had to, there's roles. And so they had to learn to respect that. And then I had to respect them also. Oh yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. That takes an adjustment, I'm sure, because you have to switching hats. You got to switch mind frames as well.
Exactly.
Okay, good. My next question is, how do you handle correction from God?
Well, now.
Goodness.
You just have to do it. You have to, the thing with ministry, and you get so good at the word and learning the word. And being able to teach it. And if some ministers are not careful, they will teach the word, but they won't apply it to their own life. And they'll look at everybody as if you need to do this, but they're not doing it themselves. And if I tell you, if you walk in that, that's the quickest way God will chastise you, because the word is for all of us, including the teacher. And so there were times it just, the correction, it was hard because you get so good in what you're doing. And then he wakes you up and said, hey, you need some correction too. And you have to really humble yourself. You have to humble yourself and say, the same thing that's good for somebody else is, I need to take that same type of correction.
Right.
And so it was just praying and saying, okay, you don't know everything. You don't have it all right. And then God is correcting you so you can get better. It's a process. All of it is a whole process.
It's a process. That's good. I think that a lot of times when we do what we're called to do, or at least attempt to. We, like you said, we get kind of good at it, and we tend to forget that we need correction. If not, we'll be a know-it-all and we'll miss out on so much.
Correct.
So many revelations, so many nuggets, and that quiet whisper that we've been needing and looking for. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Love it. What makes your ministry different from others?
Oh, wow. Let me think. Well, I know Pastor and I have always been kind of unconventional or out of the box type ministry. And it is different. When people come to our ministry, they're like, oh, we've never done these type of things before. The thing that we do in our ministry, I think that kind of stands apart, is we come out of the box. We're non-denominational. That's the first thing we did. We don't stick with certain denominations because they put certain restrictions in the ministry. And we do believe in, everybody coming in as they are. We're very transparent. You're gonna know all of our business, right, but we're very open and upfront. We're very people. We don't get in and get out. We hang out after church. We stand around. We talk. We get to know everybody. We actually have, when we first started doing this, and a lot of people were like, I've never heard of anybody doing that before. But once a year in the summer, we have church at the water park. So there's a water park in the local area. And my husband came up with this years ago. I think we've been doing it now about 8 years. And we actually rent a cabana at the water park, and we invite another church to come with us, guest church, and their pastor, and people invite their friends and their family. We have church service at the water park. We use their little shallow pool to baptize. We sing with the choir at the water park. And here's the amazing thing about it. When he first presented that, people were like, that is crazy. But so many people show up. And not only do we reach the people there, people start coming out of the water to stand around and join the service. And so we haven't been able to do it for 2 years because of the pandemic. But the year before everything shut down, 2019, June of 2019, it was a lady standing and watching our service at the water park. And she walked over, she brought her grandsons, and she said, I've been wanting them to get baptized. And now is the perfect time. And we took them right out in the water, the wading pool, baptized them. And then after we eat, everybody gets to go and enjoy the park. And so we think like that. You can save a soul anywhere.
Yes.
It does not have to be in the house of God. Yes. And we had a lot of souls come to Christ at the water park.
Wow. That is awesome. That is truly
yes.
unique.
It's very unique.
Yes. And that once a year, I think that kind of puts people in an expected mood. I wonder what they'll do next month or in a couple of weeks. And so it helps them to keep their eyes and ears open to what you guys are doing. Also kind of sets the pace for other churches to be unique too. And everybody's not into the traditional church.
Correct.
Some people love it. Some people want something totally different.
Correct.
So that's awesome.
Correct.
That's awesome. Awesome. Love it. So my next question is, what is a typical day for you? What is a typical day like for you outside of the ministry?
Outside of the ministry? Well, I have a full-time job. So I work for New York Life Insurance Company. So that, of course, is going to consume about 8 hours of my day. And that's what I do Monday through Friday outside of church. Once I am done with my job, usually I'm lazy. I just go and put on my little moo gown and I'll read the word or prepare for when we do Wednesday night Facebook Live. We're not in the building. We do it from our home. And I have a coaching session I do on Thursday. And pretty much the rest of the week, I'm just relaxing and enjoying my family. Saturday is my errand day. And then Sunday, go into worship.
Right. Okay.
I don't do much.
I can imagine that after putting in 8 hours and caring for your family and doing the things
Yes.
you have to do. It's time to sit back and relax. So you mentioned coaching. Are you a coaching student or do you coach people?
I am actually a coaching student right now, and my coach is preparing me to coach, to life coach.
Awesome.
People, I'm getting that set up right now I'm putting a program together to coach women. And I'm focusing on, I really want to target from the beginning, because you can do several coaching sessions or classes. I really want to target ministers' wives, pastors' wives, first ladies that are sharing the dual role that I am. Because I'm a pastor's wife, I'm a first lady, I'm a minister, I'm a pastor, and so I want to target those women who just need some encouragement, need some coaching, first time pastors' wives, ministers' wives who are going to be pastors' wives. There's so much coaching that needs to be done. I didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the early years. So now that I have the experience and the know-hows, I want to help others.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. That is going to be a very successful coaching program that you're starting. I've been interviewing pastors' wives, female pastors, female pastors, evangelists, prophets for over a year. And they have some really interesting stories, and they can definitely use a support system from someone who has had the experience. So you're going to be very successful at that.
Yes, praise God.
Okay. My next question is, if you could ask one person from the Bible a question, who would it be and what would you ask them?
If I could ask one person from the Bible, who would it be and what would I ask them? Never thought about that. Who would it be? Would it be? You're stunning me now. Because I love so many different, you know what? I would ask Deborah.
Okay.
And the reason why I would ask Deborah is because Deborah, I think in the Bible, reminds me of a lot of women today, because she was a judge and she was married and she was strong, and a lot of people came to her for wisdom and knowledge and support. And if you look at some of the other women in the Bible, they were more, I keep using that word low key. They weren't as out front as Deborah was in the Old Testament. And I think she kind of, whenever I read about her, she reminds me of, like, she could fit, like she fit then, she could fit in that role now, in the place in 2021. Right. And I would ask her, how did she handle, being an upfront woman of God and being married, juggling those, because it said that they mentioned her husband, Lapidoth, and I'm pretty sure he had to be all right with what Deborah did for Deborah to do it. Yeah, so I would ask her give me some wisdom and instructions, prophetess. Yeah, I would ask her.
I don't think I've had anybody to mention her before. So that's awesome. Yeah, she was an awesome woman in the Bible. Definitely.
Yeah. And she was strong, and they won a war and all of that because of her wisdom.
She had to be, definitely.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So as we close, do you have any closing remarks for the people?
Just, God is truly good. That's all I want to say, is that God is really, really good. I would ask people to continue to always pray for their pastor's wife, their pastor and their pastor's wife, and those that are in leadership, because it may look easy, but it's really not. I mean, it takes a lot of work, and the support of the people is so important. And then I would also say, for anyone who may be watching the video, be good and be kind to your pastor's wife, please. love on her, support her, pray for her, and because she really, really needs it. It's like you said, you talk to so many ministers' wives and pastors' wives, and everybody has a horror story or even good stories. And I don't know if people sometimes feel like because of the position we're in that everything's just going perfect in our lives, but we need people more than they realize.
Mhm.
I would say, as much as you pray for your pastor, pray for his helpmate as well,
Definitely.
because she needs it.
Mhm.
And love on her. Don't mistreat her, love on her.
Definitely, definitely. She holds his arms up.
Yes, she
She needs
does.
somebody to hold her arms up as well.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love it. All right. So how can the people find you on social media?
Okay. So I don't have a website yet. I'm working on that. They can find me under Angela Taylor Fisher, Taylor-Fisher, on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram right now. And then they can find me on our New Birth Worship Center YouTube page. And so that's and I'm on Twitter. So that's where I'm at right now. And like I said, I'm building the website, and then I'm also getting my own Angela Taylor Fisher Ministries YouTube page going.
Awesome.
That's where they can find me right now. So
All
y'all reach out to me.
Definitely. You guys make sure you check her out and see what she has going on. We thank you so much, Pastor, for stopping by today.
Thank you.
And sharing your life with us and giving people more insight into the mind of a first lady and a pastor, and to just see God in a different light. We thank you so much for that. All right, you guys, that's it for this episode of About Her Ministry. Be sure and check us out next time. Remember to release your genius, pull off the impossible every day. You will have whatever it is that you say. So be positive when you speak, Queen.